Hello from North Texas. This is John M. Beeman with Texan Resolutions. Thank you so much for listening in today, and I hope you are all doing very, very well. There are two pieces of, I think, very, very good news that I would like to discuss today. The first of which pertains to the North Korea situation, and the second of which pertains to the repeal and replace healthcare bill. Starting off with the North Korea situation, I think first and foremost that this is something that we can describe as a bipartisan issue. I don't think that the North Korea situation is a political issue. I think that we all pretty much agree that North Korea is a threat and that we cannot allow them to acquire nuclear weapons, especially long-range nuclear weapons. Now, here's where the good news comes in. This is just absolutely amazing, and I think President Trump deserves so much credit for this. The Chinese president said that China will work with the United States on resolving the North Korea issue. More specifically, the president of China noted that he is willing to help the U.S. end North Korea's nuclear programs peacefully. This, I think, if you look at history, this is probably the first time ever that China has been on our side against North Korea like this. That is a huge accomplishment for President Trump. I mean, that type of accomplishment is absolutely outstanding. If you look at our history, the history of the United States, especially since World War II, there has not been a lot of cooperation on geopolitical issues between communist nations and the United States. China is communist and their president is an avowed communist. But President Trump was able to have a dinner with him, and according to Fox News, they had a phone call the other day, I believe. And President Trump was able to get the president of China on the American side. President Trump was able to, again, successfully negotiate and make a good deal, and was able to get China to agree to help us end the North Korean threat. How we take care of it, to me, I am personally open to a host of options. I think the important thing is that we prevent North Korea from acquiring long-range nuclear missiles, and I think it's imperative that we find a way to rid them of their current nuclear weapons. They are not, in my opinion, trustworthy. But North Korea has been a pretty strong ally of China in terms of being devoted. They're not like a world superpower. Now, they have a very large military, but they have been fairly loyal to China, and China has been fairly loyal to them. The fact that China is willing to work with the United States is a huge accomplishment, and I think that regardless of what we believe politically, we need to be able to say that President Trump won a major victory here. Getting the Chinese to work with the United States and rid North Korea of nuclear weapons is absolutely outstanding. That is something that Democrats, Republicans, whatever you believe politically, we should be able to come together and say, you know what, that is a fantastic victory for President Trump. And to put it casually, he deserves a big pat on the back. I mean, that is a huge accomplishment, and I think that it's huge for maintaining, first of all, good relations with China, but perhaps more importantly, bringing some stability to that whole issue, because that issue could have gotten out of hand very, very quickly. But President Trump, being a good deal maker, was able to get another good deal. So I am very, very excited about that. The second piece of news we're going to discuss is the latest on the repeal and replace healthcare bill. Now, I believe it was a month or two ago when House leadership presented a healthcare bill that revised Obamacare, and the whole thing was that the Freedom Caucus, or members of the Freedom Caucus, were adamantly opposed to it, and long and short of it is there weren't enough votes to pass it, so the healthcare bill was tabled. The leader of the Freedom Caucus, Representative Mark Meadows, who is a Republican from North Carolina, recently said that he expects the repeal and replace healthcare bill to pass, but what was very encouraging is that he said it could pass soon. That would be, again, another major accomplishment. I know it's still early in this process, but if we are able to pass a repeal and replace healthcare bill, that would just be absolutely outstanding, not only for the Republican Party, for conservatives, but especially for President Trump. If we look at what President Trump has been able to accomplish over his first almost 2.5, 3 months, or I believe 3 months actually in about a week. So we're looking at maybe 10, 11 weeks. If we look at what President Trump has been able to accomplish, he has done a lot. And if he is able to get this repeal and replace healthcare bill passed, or rather if the Congress can pass a repeal and replace healthcare bill, the first 100 days of President Trump's administration would be shockingly successful. Now, focusing a little more on the process of this healthcare bill, there is a lot going on behind the scenes. And Breitbart published an article that was very, very interesting, and it highlighted the fact that the healthcare bill proposed a month or two ago was widely called Ryan Care. And this article by Breitbart noted that members of the Freedom Caucus tried to encourage President Trump to not support the bill and essentially claimed that he was being misled on it by House leadership. And that would be very, very interesting, we'll call it. That would be a major political development within the Republican Party. But long and short of it is, the bill proposed did not pass. And now that negotiations have, restarted, we have the leader of the Freedom Caucus saying that there is a lot of progress being made and that he is very, very excited about it. If we can get a bill that conservatives unite on, that is more likely to pass, and here's why. The Republican Party right now, especially in the U.S. Congress, is more conservative than it has been in a while. And if you remember, the U.S. Congress passed a complete repeal of Obamacare under the last administration. Now, the president at that point in time ended up vetoing the bill, but the point is there are enough votes to pass a complete repeal. So there is, especially given the campaign promises, there is no real reason why Obamacare should not be repealed. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks, but I think that it is very, very likely we will pass a healthcare bill, a good healthcare bill. The key question is when. And then the other key question is, when does it get signed into law? Because once it passes the House, it then also has to pass the Senate. And once it passes the Senate, then it goes to the president's desk for a signature, and then it becomes law. And that can be a time-consuming process through everything from the point that the House votes on it to the point that the president signs it. Because it's also possible that after it gets reviewed in the Senate could ship it back to the House and say, what do you think? And they can make more changes. But anyway, I think it is likely that we will pass a healthcare bill at some point, especially before the next election cycle, because quite frankly, too many Republicans promised healthcare reform not to pass something. And if they failed to pass a good healthcare bill, a healthcare bill that was truly repeal and replace, the GOP could lose a lot. But if the GOP can pass a repeal and replace healthcare bill, they are really, really getting a lot of momentum. And again, I would like to highlight a significant portion of this is due to President Trump, if not the vast majority. And the GOP needs to be very, very thankful to President Trump. But putting politics aside, the American people need to be thankful to President Trump because he's doing so much for the American people right now. He is making headway that past presidents have not been able to accomplish. He is doing things that no president has been able to do. So, in summary, there are two pieces of news today that are really, really exciting to me. I'm just absolutely ecstatic. The first piece of news is that China's president said that they are willing to work with the United States on the North Korea issue and that they are willing to end North Korea's nuclear program peacefully. That is absolutely outstanding, and it may very well be the first time that a communist China was willing to work with the United States to remedy a North Korean threat. That is huge progress, especially for President Trump. Secondly, The leader of the Freedom Caucus, Representative Mark Meadows, said that the repeal and replace healthcare bill could pass soon. That is, again, very optimistic. That was a big promise to the American people, and we, as American people, both Republicans, both Democrats, expect to see that promise fulfilled. If you have any questions, concerns, or anything you'd like to email us, please send us an email at jbeeman@texanresolutions.com. That's JBEAMAN@texanresolutions.com. As we prepare to end this audio, please remember to share it with your friends and encourage them to take part in civil and decent political discussions. And that's something I'd like to quickly highlight. I always like to stress the point that as Americans, even if we disagree, we should be able to come down and have a decent conversation together. But I would also like to highlight there is a lot that brings us together and that unites us. And this whole North Korean situation is a perfect example. We might disagree on what we should do, but we all agree with the fact that North Korea is a threat and that something needs to be done. If you like what we do, please remember to follow Texan Resolutions on social media. Thank you for listening and have a blessed day. This is John M. Beeman with Texan Resolutions. Truth and justice for y'all.